Welcome to the Grand Review. This is the show that's all about movie reviews, movie news, sometimes when we remember to gather it before we start recording, and just general movie lover stuff. I'm your host, Garrett Ray, and joining me, as always, the wonderful Andy Delia.
Hello.
Thank you for being here, Andy.
Thank you.
And for being introduced at the proper time this episode.
Not like yesterday, where you were just rude and inconsiderate.
Now, let's not apply malice where stupidity will explain.
Okay. I give you a lot of leeway for that because it had been weeks since we had actually done one.
It's been so long. And I think we were both just chomping at the bit to talk.
Yes.
And so I forgot that I was supposed to do my job.
Yes.
So, well, hey, if this is your first time joining us, welcome.
Welcome.
Basically, how this works is we're going to do a spoiler-free review up front, and we'll let you know when we get into spoilers, and then we'll talk more in depth about the movie. So if you haven't seen it and you're wondering, is this worth my time, we're going to tell you right up front.
Yep.
And then if you have seen it, you can stick around for the conversation after, and we're going to dig into some of the stuff that we liked, didn't like, whatever, at that point. So we'll let you know when spoilers are. Also, there are time codes down in the description of the podcast. So you can always jump around to whatever you want to. Yep. All right. Well, Andy, I'm feeling a bit philosophical today.
Oh, no.
Just if you'll indulge me for a second.
Yeah, sure.
The world is full of mysteries. It's full of things we do not really have any hope of understanding. For instance, no one knows where the wind begins. No one knows where the wind ends. But we finally know where the wind breaks because Borderlands has farted itself into theaters this week.
I was hoping you were going with that because I was going to interject that if you didn't. It just shows our mentality and like maturity level.
Yeah, no, I thought about that last night when I was driving out of here. I was like, I got to do that. It's the only thing I planned for the show. The rest of this, all freewheeling. So
no, it's good that we do that and really don't write a whole lot of stuff down. It comes off more naturally, I think.
Yeah. I am going to be a little bit more on topic today than I was yesterday because I was so frantic about messing up, not introducing you. So this week we're on it.
We're on point.
Yes. So your thoughts on Borderlands, Andy?
I liked it. It's not the worst movie I've ever seen, but it's not the best movie either. For stupid fun, it is what it is. I think I'm fortunate that I have never played any of the games. Mm-hmm. So I guess I can enjoy this a little bit more than somebody that is a diehard gaming fan on this. There were things that I liked. There were, toward the end of it, I think it dragged a little bit. But for the most part, it's not as horrible as everybody's making it out to be, or at least I don't think so.
Yeah, because I think Rotten Tomatoes at first it had
like
a 0%.
Yeah, now it's at 6.
It went from 0 to 3, 3 to 8, 8 to 7, and
it's still not high up there.
Let me see what it says now. That's right. We're doing it live, which is a reference I made to Weird Al and made him actually genuinely laugh. Best moment of my life. It's sitting at a 10% on Rotten Tomatoes, according to the critics, and 51% audience score. So,
I really just didn't think it was as bad as everybody's giving it. But once again, it's not the best film either. Mm-hmm. You know, there is some problems with it, but I hate to say this is probably the best thing that I've seen Eli Roth do. And I don't really want to give him a compliment because I don't like him. I think he's a hack. I really do.
I believe so. I mean, okay, so let's just look at some of the stuff that he's done. The Man with the Iron Fist, I remember people
He did that?
Yes. I remember people not liking this.
It's okay. It's not great.
Hostel Part 2.
Yeah, crap.
The Green Inferno, which I think you said you actually liked.
That one I actually liked, yeah.
A movie called Knock Knock, which is the one where
Keanu Reeves with the two women that show up on his doorstep. It's not horrible. At least like you have some eye candy in that with the women that show up.
Yeah, but that doesn't make a movie.
No, it really doesn't. But I think it was based on like another film.
And please, the eye candy's Keanu Reeves. Everyone knows this.
Yeah, no, not in that case. One of the girls in that too is Anna de Armas.
Yeah, Anna
which
de
was
Armas, yes.
when I go back and like see that, I'm like, wow, that's okay. Everybody got to start somewhere.
Yep, and for some of us, it's an Eli Roth movie, and we just have to
Yeah.
live with the choices we've made that led us to that point in our life.
And then, of course, the other one that I like, Thanksgiving.
Okay, but Thanksgiving.
Oh, it's a bad movie.
Okay, all right.
It's a dumb movie, but I love stupid slasher films, so
Yeah.
it's definitely that.
Well, this one, so Borderlands, as far as oh my gosh, he was a co-producer on Baywatch. Oh, that makes sense. So Borderlands was directed by him and written by him. He was not a producer on it. Weirdly, that seems strange to me. That he
Well,
would
that's
have
probably a good thing
the other
that
two.
somebody could actually have control over him.
The last thing that I had seen that he had done was the House with the Clock in its Walls, which just stop.
Yeah, and I never saw that.
But don't subject your children to that crap. Also with Jack Black. Forgot about that. Borderlands was written by him and directed by him, and he co-wrote it with Joe Crombie, who doesn't even have a link on Wikipedia. So
mainly he wrote most of it, and Eli probably put in the commas and the periods and stuff.
Yeah, maybe so. Yeah, he came in and dotted the T's, crossed the I's because he's so smart. Look, it's unprofessional to bash someone else in your own industry. I get that, but this just
Eli Roth deserves it.
This cemented in my head. Okay, Death Wish was not a fluke, because like even The House with the Clock in its Walls is a fine enough made kids movie. The problem is the content of it is inappropriate for children.
Okay. You were telling me that because I've never seen it.
Necromancy and all kinds of stuff that was just like.
And we marketed this for kids?
Yes, and it's such a weird thing to be doing. And I think it's based on a book, so the source material is also that has those same pitfalls. Which yesterday I said you can't blame a Deadpool movie for being a Deadpool movie. You can't, but also you can have moral objections with an entire idea.
I guess at least it's not A Wrinkle in Time.
That had good source material. Those freaking... Why did they do that?
I knew they would get you started.
One of these days, I'm going to sit down, and you don't have to sit through it with me if you don't want to, but I will record all my thoughts on that and share it.
Actually, I would love to sit down and hear all your thoughts. I never saw it just because there was no way that movie was going to be as good as the book was.
No. And it's
it's even worse.
It's so bad. But that's not what we're talking about. We're on topic. We're on topic. It's Borderlands. What did I think of Borderlands?
Yes,
I heard you ask.
Yes. What did you think of Borderlands?
Borderlands was. I chuckled and I had some fun, but I couldn't help thinking the whole time through. This feels like a rushed production somehow.
Parts of it definitely,
but they finished filming in 2021,
right? So how rushed could it have been?
Well, I mean, filming could have been rushed, but you couldn't get anyone back in to just do a retake of anything. Like I don't know. There were visual effects stuff that looked hokey. There was a lot of good stuff. I don't want to.
I fully the effects had something to be desired, especially like the last part of it.
Yeah, the last part of it, especially any time that the one red lance lady is flying on her little aerial
you can see
bike.
like the green screen seams.
It's really bad.
It is. I thought it was just me.
No,
because I'm like, this isn't Eli Roth. I'm looking for stuff to really like whack it in the head with a shovel.
Oh, come on now. You've got more Eli Roth to pull from than that. What would he do to someone in Thanksgiving? Because that's what you should be doing. Overall, it feels like a rush production. Stuff just kind of happens a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot of just, and then this happens. It's a and then movie. And I think I've talked about this before, but in screenwriting, if your movie is an and then this happens kind of movie, generally speaking, that is not good writing.
Mm-hmm.
If it's a this happens and because of that this happens, then you're on better footing. So the idea is that every scene, someone makes a decision which leads into the next scene, which makes it where they're forced to make a decision which leads into the next scene. I'm not saying that never happens. There are definitely places where people are making choices.
Yeah.
But they're making the choices because that's the choice the screenwriter made. It's not really because of any reasoning that makes sense, or maybe. Well, possibly.
And very little explanation.
Very little explanation. And maybe I'm asking for too much of a Borderlands movie.
You might be.
So I never played the games.
Neither have I.
I played a little bit of it with my friend Lucas because he wanted me to play it. But they're technically classified as looter shooters. And so basically in a looter shooter, you are running around shooting things to level up, and then you'll unlock, you'll find chests out in the world where you can open it up, and there will be a random item inside. Okay. So you may get a good gun, you may get a crap gun, you may find some ultra rare item, and it's randomly generated every time.
So that explains like the first couple of minutes of the film where all those random images were flashing on the screen and with the guns and everything.
But does it? because that was like in the game, you see a chest, you beat an enemy outpost, right? You kill all the guys in there. There's a couple of chests lying around. You go around, you open the chest, and it goes bing, 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 bing. Oh, you got this gun. The opening montage was just there to be flashy, as far as I can tell. I don't even think it was like a reference.
Okay.
No, there's a lot of things that probably were references that I would not get because I'm not well versed in it.
Right.
I'm not a looter shooter guy. I like to know. Okay.
I'm just not a gaming person, period. So
I am to an extent. Like what happens is I'll get into a game and I'll be really into it for about 2 weeks, and everything else in my life will suffer, and then I have to stop and go be an adult. And so, but I never got into looter shooters because it is random chance. It is this idea of, you're playing the lottery. Maybe you'll win, maybe it'll suck. But because I'm in the entertainment industry, that's literally every day of my life. It doesn't matter how much effort I put in. I could just get kicked in the pants. I mean, I've had thousands of dollars stolen from me because I delivered something to clients before they paid me.
Oh.
And they just ran off with it and then disappeared. Boop. And so, like,
into the void.
Yeah, and that's because I want to be. I told my wife, in pursuit of being a good man, I'm a terrible businessman. I want to be like, all right, let's get it done quick, whatever. And so, anyway. Point is, if I want to be screwed over by a random box, it's going to happen just in my day-to-day life. I don't need it in my video games where I'm trying to relax because that's what I experience every day.
Okay.
Borderlands, the movie feels like it's kind of a random generated box of jokes.
Yeah.
The humor overall is not necessarily, I wouldn't call it like completely unfunny. Claptrap is funny sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes he's not. Sometimes he's just annoying.
Yeah, but I think that's just Jack Black, period. There are times where he's funny and there are times when he's not.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like Tenacious D.
Well, there was good news. They had broken up for a little bit, but they're back now.
Oh,
yeah, Jack Black said they'll continue after Kyle Gass's bad joke about next time don't miss.
Yeah.
Look, I'm not going to get political here on the show, but that's a crap thing to say no matter what side you're on.
It is. Keep that. When you're in the public spotlight like that, it's best to not do something that's going to cut your own throat.
Yeah, and I mean, to be fair, comedy pushes boundaries, and sometimes it works and everyone's fine with it, and they just go woo, and then sometimes it doesn't. But I don't think Kyle Gass was joking. So
I don't think he was either.
Maybe don't be someone. If you're going to make a joke like that, it better be darn sure clear it's a joke. I don't think it was.
Well, or say it in private.
Yeah. Or record it on this podcast so we get extra views. How is Kevin Hart the least annoying person in this movie? How did that happen?
The Tina character, that girl's
Ariana Greenblatt, I believe is her name.
Horrible.
She's
annoying.
What else was she in? She was in 65, that movie with Adam Driver, where it's 65 million years in the future, in the past, dinosaurs.
I never saw that because it looked terrible.
Yeah. She was young Nina Rosario in The Heights. She was in Barbie as Sasha. She's going to be in Fear Street Prom Queen.
I don't remember much about Barbie.
She was a voice in Scoob. The one and only Ivan. I don't know. Did anyone see that?
I did.
Was it good?
Yeah, that's actually really good. I just don't remember her from that.
She played Julia. I don't know who that is because I didn't see it.
It's been so long since I've seen that.
Oh, she was young Gamora in Avengers Infinity War. That's where I know her face from. But that was years ago.
Yeah,
She's grown up a little bit. So it's overall, it's fine. I don't think, like you said, it's not as bad as all the hate that's been given to it.
Right. And I think the other reason I probably liked it too is that my expectation bar was so low.
Yeah, exactly.
That when it wasn't a complete waste of time, I was like, oh, okay, this is actually pretty good.
Yes. Yeah. And it definitely, I think also watching it and seeing it wants to be R-rated, but it's not.
I read something this morning that it was supposed to be.
So there was a writer that worked on this prior to the version that we got.
It was meant to be an R-rated film.
Yes.
And I think somebody from the studio or somewhere along the line realized that it's a video game film popular with teenagers, that making it an R-rated was a bad decision.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't sure when I first started seeing stuff for this what it was going to be rated, because it could go either way.
Well, the script writing's been going on since like 2015. So the Lee Wanell was originally attached to direct it, which is such a weird choice for this, but would have been interesting.
It would have been interesting.
It definitely would have been better.
Him.
Or worse in a way that's like, at least it's trying to do something.
No, but at least it probably would have gone the R-rated route then, and did a lot better than the PG-13 and kind of glossing things over and making it like teen friendly and just go all out and make it R-rated.
Well, and the other thing is this. So one of the producers on this was Avi Arad, who one of the main producers on
Spider-Man,
every Spider-Man movie, Uncharted. And is responsible for almost every bad decision made on those. I think, was he also involved in the Superman with
Nicolas
Cage and wanted them to fight a giant spider at the end? And that was
I think so.
That's an interesting story we'll have to get into another day. But
that's a whole podcast unto itself.
That is quite a ride. But yeah, Aaron Berg was going to write an R-rated take in April 2016. By June of 2018, Oren Uziel assumed script writing duties, who is not
even credited.
Nope. He did The Lost City, which is actually a pretty funny. It's
fun.
That's
Sandra Bullock.
Yeah.
No, I hate that movie.
Okay,
I don't like that movie at all.
I'm gonna expose my bias here. It was one of the earlier dates I went on with my wife. Was to see The Lost City.
We had a good time. I can understand that's a sentimental choice. I forgive you for that, and I give you no fault. But my problem with that.
But if you genuinely like it, so help me, Garrett, I'll kill you.
No, and I mean it has the makings of a decent film, but it reminds me so much, to the point of blatantly ripping off Romancing the Stone with Michael Douglas and Kathleen Turner. And both of those films that they did, that and Jewel of the Nile, I think are really good.
Okay.
Jewel of the Nile is not as good as Romancing, but Romancing the Stone, Robert Zemeckis made that.
Yeah.
And it's a great romantic comedy adventure film, which is what The Lost City pretty much just copied.
Yeah.
And I didn't feel there was any chemistry between Sandra and Channing, and I just thought the story was stupid. And Daniel Radcliffe can go back to Hogwarts.
I liked how dumb he was in it. Like, it was a dumb performance, and I feel like it was on purpose, but I don't know.
The story was almost exactly the same as Romancing the Stone, too. So.
But I think it was supposed to be homage.
No,
because she's writing the books and it's like set in that genre.
But it was Joan Wilder's character in Romancing the Stone, and she was coming out of her comfort zone into reality, this real life adventure. And Michael Douglas was at his prime too, so was Kathleen Turner. And I just think it rips it off too much, and maybe that's just my age.
Fair enough. I need to go see it.
Shock.
I'm sorry. I'm the world's worst cinephile.
So once you see that, you actually might change your mind about liking it.
I may, but I also may just think about how I got to give my sweetheart a little smooch after and be like, no, I still like it. Also, I like Sandra Bullock. I think she's fun, but
I do. I think she's made some bad choices lately, movie-wise.
Yeah, it's fair.
The Heat.
That wasn't lately, man. That was like 2014.
Yeah, I know, but...
So people walk weird in this movie. Did you notice
they
that?
all walk with like the swagger, like they have knee surgery.
It's on purpose, but it does just look like something's broken.
And what's up with the old woman cleavage in this film?
Okay, I have a theory about this. And this is not spoilers, but there is definitely a lot of mature cleavage, we'll say.
Yeah.
And I think it's because these are probably people that Eli Roth has had a crush on his whole life. Because you'll notice anyone younger, there is no boobie.
Well, you couldn't really do that with Ariana Greenblatt.
Well, I'm not, but the police woman who I can't remember. And look, I'm not advocating. Knox?
Was that Knox?
No, it was.
But then Gina Gershon showing up, it was not a shock either.
I don't know that much about Gina Gershon.
She's a bad actress that's been around a long time.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, her list is really long here.
Oh yeah.
My gosh.
And
she was in Thanksgiving.
Yes, she was. And so we know how she got the role in this.
Yep, probably.
She's in the ultimate bad movie, Showgirls.
Ooh.
There's a podcast unto itself all about that, too.
That's gross. You're right. It was Knox, Commander Knox. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Yeah, you were right.
See, I pay attention when I watch these things.
I try to. My brain just doesn't work. But yeah, it's her with her Knox's character. Nope, straight police. And
yeah.
Eli's like, look, I've got a type. And I think
you're
that's
not
what
it.
happened. Yeah. And look, I'm not advocating for more cleavage. There was too much cleavage.
Right. And I do like the wasteland look of the film.
Yes, but it feels like it's only good because it's ripped off everything that's come before it.
Yeah, because what did they do? Like shoot this where they shot Furiosa?
Probably
not.
I mean, they just made it worse.
Yeah.
It definitely matches kind of the tone of the games as far as like the color palette and stuff.
Okay.
So I like that. It is interesting to me. Like I noticed immediately when we saw Lilith's full outfit for the first time, I was like, that is very colorful. It's really like it's not toned down for screen to make it feel more serious, whatever.
Right.
And so it's consistent in that tone, and I think that's good. And I like that, but I also just. The tone is like it's very middle of the road on everything all the way through it. You know, it's middle of the road on how crass it wants to be. It's middle of the road on how emotional it wants to be. It's middle of the road when it comes to its ending, which we'll get into in spoilers.
Yeah.
It's middle of the road on its own kind of lore.
It's just a mediocre film all around.
Yeah, and the worst thing a movie can do is be boring. I would rather watch an actively terrible movie and make fun of it.
Horizons.
But it has moments of good in it.
I know.
I don't know.
I know. That's just the one that comes to my mind so much from this summer.
There is a limit though. Like there are some movies that are not so bad they're good. And there's one that I had to watch with an ex's family called The Elephant in the Room. And
Okay.
I had been tortured watching this movie. And they thought it was great. And I was just like, please, this is one of the worst productions I've ever laid eyes on. And then we got to the point in the movie where it's about this doctor who doesn't take things very seriously, and how this one patient he has like helps him to come to terms with reality a little more, because the patient is going to die no matter what he does. But at one point, another one of their patients who they bring up one time previously in the movie, like 40 minutes before this, there's a little boy, and he succumbs to his cancer and dies. And the whole office is very sad. And this doctor comes in, unbeknownst, he doesn't know what's going on. And he's in pajamas for some reason, I think because he was trying to cheer someone up at some point. But everyone's really sad, and they're like, oh, the boy passed away. And he's like, oh, my gosh. And then about 5 seconds passes of just awkward silence. And then he rips off of his pants and has some ridiculous-looking underwear on underneath it, and like begins to dance around, and everyone's like, ha, 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 things are okay again. And that was the kind of movies that that one's not quite so good it's bad, or so bad it's good.
Sorry, I drifted off there while you were like explaining it.
It's an no. That's how I felt when watching most of the movie until I got to that point and thought, is there a gas leak in the house? Are we dying?
So then it's blatantly ripping off them Patch Adams. We're trying to do that.
It thinks it is. But it's not even. No. Anyway, point is that movie got to the point where it was so bad that it's stuck in my brain in a way that I look back on and laugh at now.
Okay.
I will not remember Borderlands next week.
Yeah, I probably won't either.
Yeah, I
mean, if somebody asked me at the theater about it, if it's as horrible as everybody makes it out to be, I'll be honest and say no.
Yeah,
there are some good things about it. There are some bad things about it, and it's just like it's a mediocre film.
Yeah.
So if you just want to turn your brain off and watch a mediocre film, this is for you. Yeah. Yes, definitely.
Some of the gunplay is fun, and there's there's some very stylized posing going on in the action scenes that I think are actually pretty. They make no sense, but they're pretty well done in the sense that like it's very clear poses, and you get these hero shots, and so there was a lot of, I think, attention put on that in the production.
I do like Cate Blanchett too.
I do too.
And I'm glad they kept Kevin Hart to a minimum, which is a good. So they realized too, like letting him do what he normally does was not a good move.
Yeah, he plays the straight man in this,
right? Which is weird.
It's very odd.
I really like a couple of the serious films that he's done. The one with Bryan Cranston where he's in a wheelchair.
Oh, what is that called?
The Uplift or something like that?
The Upside. It's called The Upside.
Yes.
Yeah,
I saw that. It's based on a French film.
I have reviewed this movie, actually.
Oh.
On my old podcast, which you'll never find. So, yeah, The Upside was good. I think Kevin Hart can do straight and serious stuff. And I actually, for some reason, like that's the best part of this movie to me is just watching him, do stuff and be restrained. And he's still... Like the trailer plays him up as still being Kevin Hart about everything,
right?
But there's like the moments in the trailer are all the moments that he's like that in the movie, and the rest he's actually fun to watch in a way that that he normally isn't for me. Not that I don't think Kevin Hart is funny; it's just like he can be a bit much sometimes.
Yeah.
What a weird movie to bust out your acting chops on, though. Anyway, anything else we want to talk about before we get into spoilers?
No, I think we've covered just about everything on that.
Okay. All right, let's get into spoilers then. Spoiler time. Woo. I have one particular gripe I want to talk about. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
But it's been bugging me, and it bugged my wife. And we both looked at each other in the theater and went, "Are you kidding me?" Because Lilith turns to Tiny Tina while they're sitting on the roof. And they're having a discussion about how Tiny Tina was made in a lab, and she's not like a natural person. She's an experiment, right?
Right.
And Lilith turns and goes, "Well, is he your father or isn't he?" And Tiny Tina says, "Well, yes and no." And Lilith says, "It wasn't a yes or no question." Woman, yes, it was. Yes, it was. It's not a question you can answer with yes and no. But it was a yes or no question, and there's no way that went through 9 rounds of edits, which this must have done, and no one caught that and said, "Should we ADR that?" Are you kidding me? Like I said, I know this doesn't matter. This is a stupid thing to be frustrated by, but I was thinking about it literally the entire movie after that. I was just like, how is that not a yes or no question? Explain that. Explain... Even more than I want you to explain how you got Cate Blanchett to agree to this. What was that?
A bag of Lionsgate cash.
They don't have those. It's Lionsgate.
Saw still brings in quite a bit of money for them.
I keep forgetting that's Lionsgate.
Yeah. Some of the other things they do too, like the Tyler Perry films, they used to make some money. Now they don't. Yeah. And then what's the other? Ordinary Angels and some of those kind of religious films that they get into, but Ordinary Angels bombed, or at least it did here.
Yeah.
And I was shocked at how badly that film performed because we had it on 2 screens.
Yeah.
And did nothing.
Well, I remember seeing the trailer for it and going, "Oh, I want to see that." Actually, that looks like it could be
on TV at home,
good.
and
yeah, now that's where I'll see it. Yeah.
Right, and that's what I heard from everybody else too. Yeah, we're sorry we didn't come. It just looked like something we could watch at home. And I was like, oh, nope, I get that completely.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. Most of the time, I will fight and go, "No, you should see it in the theater. That's what it's made for." But I don't think that movie was.
No.
Cate Blanchett was cast in 2020, and I'm reading from Wikipedia, so
Okay.
whatever. But speaking of her decision to join the project, she said, "The gunslinging stuff was so much fun. I got really absorbed into that whole world. I think there also may have been a little COVID madness. I was spending a lot of time in the garden using the chainsaw a little too freely. My husband said, this film could save your life."
Interesting.
So, and I want to talk about something else that she said. I spent a bunch of time trying to find this.
Oh, is this what you were doing before we were? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, so she said that she played the game. She found the game quite addictive and was drawn to its predominantly female characters and fan base. I thought this could be interesting. In the game, there was always a nod and a wink, a deliberate B-grade mashup of chunky sci-fi and spaghetti western, which is true. That is
yeah,
pretty much what it is.
That's what it is.
She said, plus it gave her an opportunity to work with Jamie Lee Curtis and Gina Gershon, playing Lilith's longtime pals. Jamie's just exceptional, and when Gina walked on set, it was like va-va-voom, as it always is with her.
Who really seeks out to work with Gina Gershon? That's kind of an odd statement.
Eli Roth. But she said, this is the part that I saw that just made me go, oh my gosh, what are we in for? She said, I mean, it's not Grapes of Wrath. It's not Blade Runner. It's its own strange, weird thing. And when you look at the casting, there's a motley quality to it. We're a very, very motley crew in life and in art. I don't think anyone would call Borderlands art.
Yeah,
but it's fun.
We're using the term art loosely then.
That's what she said, though. She said, I don't think anyone would call this art, but it's fun. Just like,
yeah.
That's like a kick in the pants if you're the person who directed it. And I'm not against kicking Eli Roth's pants.
With Eli Roth being the hack that he is, I don't think it's going to make a bit of difference.
He's like, that director Uwe Boll, who made a bunch of video game movies
and a bad one. So, the Postal was like the biggest bad one that he had done.
He did a Night of the Living Dead. No, it was. I can't remember, but yeah, he did a bunch of terrible.
And people kept giving him money too, which I was always shocked at.
He did it so cheap that they did make enough money to turn a profit. That was how he did it. But my favorite thing about Uwe Boll, which I don't think Eli Roth would ever do, is he challenged his critics to boxing matches, and a bunch of his critics showed up. There is footage of this. I'm pretty sure you can quote me on this. He beat the crap out of every critic that stepped in that ring. The man was an animal. He just beat the heck out of him.
Yeah, Eli Roth wouldn't do that because he's like a stick figure.
If he wants to, I will take him up on that, and I'll take my beating. Because I've been rude. But
I'll take him on.
I'll get up and spit a couple teeth out of my mouth and go, Borderlands is still bad. Because I don't care that much. I don't know. Maybe
I'll still go back to Hostel sucks. I always remember like the interviews and stuff he did for Hostel 2, where it was one of the first instances where something got leaked on the internet before the theatrical release, and kind of the infancy of that and streaming. And he blamed the financial failure of that film on that. And I'm like, no, it's just a piece of garbage movie with going along with these torture porn films that are absolutely awful.
Yep.
They're mean. They're just ugly. And there's nothing redeeming about them at all. And that's where...
Which is also how I feel about The House with the Clock in its walls.
Yeah.
How dare you do that to children? You know what? I'll fight him for that one.
I need to watch that just to... see what the frustration is. I won't watch it with Drew around, but I'll still watch it.
It's possible that I'm being overly sensitive to it because of how I feel about dealing with spiritual stuff, and especially around kids who may not have a firm understanding of anything regarding truth in that scenario. And I'm not going to get too far into it. I'm a Christian. That's why I think.
Yeah.
But, but that movie is full of demonic stuff that I cannot abide by. Anyway, and it's for kids. I'm Eli Roth. I'm very good. Blah.
Monster House kind of had some of that stuff too, which scared the crap out of kids when it came out.
I didn't watch Monster House as a kid because I remember seeing it and going, why would I want to be scared? And then I jumped off and went do and watched Zathura for the 40th time and was terrified of the
But it's it's a good movie.
I've heard that. Yeah. That Monster House.
It's
was
actually,
that Eli Roth?
No. No, please.
No.
Don't insult Monster House like that. Because that was one of Sony's like animation studios' first big thing that they had come out with.
Yeah.
And it was supposed to be marketed more for 3D when 3D was like the big thing.
Yes.
I didn't see it in 3D, but I could see where a lot of like
the
animation
carpet coming out of the
where
from the
it would
stuff.
suit that. But I screened it. I think like we got the print a week before it actually supposed to come out. So of course I sat down and watched it.
Yeah.
And told everybody we need to put up a sign at the box office. If you're under 10, this is not what you think it's going to be.
Yep.
And sure enough, like first couple that came in one of the first shows, you don't know what you're talking about, blah, blah. 10 minutes later,
we need our money back.
That's when I want to go, no, you're not getting your money back because I warned you.
Yes, I think there should be a sign that you can just tap and says, if you're scared, no refunds. Don't make me tap the sign. Okay, so overall, the story of this is that there's a kid who gets taken from her jail cell or something, and then a guy contracts Lilith, played by Kate Blanchett, to go and find this girl on this planet this woman is apparently from. Lilith is from Pandora. And on Pandora, there's a vault, yes. There's a vault at the bottom of Pandora. There's... no, never mind. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I know.
There's a hole in the bottom of the sea. So he contracts her to go out there, and then chaos ensues. Eventually, we find out that perhaps maybe this little girl who's supposed to be made from the DNA of an ancient alien race is not the special one, even though she says it so many times.
I'm the special one. I'm the special one. Seriously, I'm going to knock you out.
On one hand, that is how children speak. They know 4 words and they say them over and over again until you wish you were dead. But on the other hand, this is a movie.
And the character's old enough to not be doing that.
Right? She's supposed to be, what, 14, 15, 13, somewhere in there.
Like she's blowing people up.
Yeah.
So she's not like 10.
She's at least emotionally complex enough to come up with another way of saying I'm the special one. Like, perhaps I'm the important one. Perhaps, I'm just going to rattle off a couple here just to see how easy it is. It's me that can do the nice thing.
That I can open the vault.
I'm the one who can open the vault.
Right.
I don't know, man, anything. It's dumb. The overall, I want to talk about Tiny Tina's character because on one hand, there are moments where it's fun, and it is a character from the games that I'm somewhat familiar with, just because I've seen enough stuff online about it. And trying to make it rain with your body parts, like that's good, and her delivery of it is fun, and I like the idea that she uses a bunch of little rabbits to explode
stuffed animal bombs.
Yes.
Yeah, that is kind of cool.
I do wish I hadn't had to hear her say, "Can you grab my badonkadonk?" That was very confusing for a second. I was like, what is this movie going to do? Like, are we going to swing into something weird?
I thought I had misheard that. I'm like, what?
Yeah. But no, her badonkadonk is a stuffed animal. Thank God.
That explodes.
That explodes. So I did feel, though, like she does that line delivery that we like, but then she's throwing rabbits at Lilith from the top of this bus, and it cuts to her throwing, and then it cuts to Lilith, boom, boom, and then the cuts are like this. Her, Lilith,
the continuity is off.
She just is all of a sudden turned around and throwing them over her head, but it doesn't make any sense because there's not enough time for her to have grabbed.
Right.
And
that's
time compression.
The continuity director needed to be fired.
And time compression happens in movies. We cut from someone opening the door to their car to them walking in the door. But in an action scene, you can't do the time compression in the same way because it breaks the reality of how this person is getting away from that and the timing of it, and did they have enough time to do that? Because it's not we're not going from an establishing shot to an indoor situation. We're going from this blew up and then that blew up and then, she's moved. Whatever, I guess, fine.
Well, and even the sound mixing when all the buses are collapsing and everything, and the sequence of all that is what is off.
Yeah.
And nobody's going to notice that, and that's where I'm being picky. Just because that stuff needs to, you can almost hear like the breaks.
Yeah.
In the soundtrack.
Yeah.
To get that going in the editing, and I'm like, okay, what hack put this together? Oh yeah, Eli Roth. Okay.
But it's $120 million budget. I mean, I will say this: the gun sounds.
Hire a sound editor.
Yeah. The gun sounds have a wonderful crack to them. Like the guns, they sound good. I like
and they
the
look
way
cool.
they sound. Yeah, they're kind of ridiculous and over the top, but they're space guns.
Yeah,
of course they're ridiculous and over the top.
Yeah.
So I'm not complaining about production design wise. Overall, I'm like, yeah, it's cool.
Sets weren't bad.
Yeah. I liked the stack of buses. You know, I was like, that's interesting.
I did too.
That's
just how things progress after that is like just annoying.
Yeah, I mean, Piss Wash Gully is a dumb joke that
I thought there would be more to that too, and it was a one note thing, and that was it. And I was like, that was the main thing that they used the trailer to sell this film.
Yes,
and you think you would have dwelled on that or did maybe a little bit more or some kind of exposition there. There was none.
It seems to me to be a scene that was created for the trailer.
Right.
It seems like one of those scenes where you go, oh yeah, this is a funny little thing, and we don't have to spend too much time on it because it's mostly them inside the car and then a couple of outside shots, and then put that in the trailer. That's the joke. That's the comedy we're kind of going for. And then the rest of the movie is just Jack Black talking.
Yeah. But then I don't even know if I would give it the label of like the poor man's Guardians of the Galaxy, because that's almost insulting the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, it's trying to be. It's certainly
but
trying
it's
to
not
be.
even doing that successfully. It reminds me of in the 80s a lot of those space sci-fi battle films that are just bad.
Yeah.
I want to say Crawl, but I've never even seen Crawl, and I know that's like sacrilege to some of the nerd camps out there,
Yeah.
but it's one that I want to see. But I'm thinking of like Battle Beyond the Stars and even Buck Rogers in the 21st Century and those kind of films that, that was my early teen years. I was watching all these pieces of garbage.
Okay, should this have been, do you think it should have been more hokey? Should it have played more into the B-movie feel?
Yes, I think so, just because the films that come off successfully that do this know what they are.
Right.
And they really were elevating this more than what it needed to be.
Yeah. I think Deadpool actually is a good example of something that's like,
yeah,
I know this is dumb, so I'm going to really be dumb about it.
So we're going to milk the heck out of it.
Yeah. And this one tries to have its emotional moments and also not be like that.
Right.
You know, like it's like, we're not sentimental, whatever. We're a bunch of space pirates, but how dare you leave me without my mummy?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, do you care? Do you not care? Because earlier, okay, so for instance, at the beginning of the movie, when we're first introduced to Lilith, she is bringing in a bounty, and there's actually some funny stuff where she whacks his head on a table and stuff. I heard you laughing.
Yeah, I did.
I do love wanton violence. But that scene, she kills a bunch of guys. Obviously, has no qualms about killing, and then the only thing that she says vocally, like she cares about, is never having to go back to Pandora. She goes, "You couldn't pay me enough to go back to that crap hole." Right. And then he goes, "Really?" And the money shows up on her wrist, and she just goes, "Oh, I guess you can." And it's like, okay, so we're establishing that your whole motivation is money, and that's the only thing you care about. And then she gets there, and almost immediately it's like, oh no, it's personal. And it's like, but it wasn't. The whole point was that it wasn't personal. That's what you establish. And then you try and flip it around, and it's this whole prophecy, but the prophecy is supposed to be about Tiny Tina, and that's what we're led to believe, but it's obviously not about Tiny Tina. Like, that's not a surprise. That,
right.
The red hair.
Well, and it's too obvious as well. So we know that what she thinks she is, she's not.
Yeah. Everyone's constantly talking through the whole movie about they're calling her special when she runs into Booby McBooberson in the bar.
Gina Gershon.
Sure. But when she runs into her in the bar, she's talking about okay, this, your mom always said how special you were and stuff. And at some point they bring up the fire, what do they call it? The Firehawk. And it's like, she has bright red freaking hair.
Yeah. So
there's no way.
The connection to that is pretty obvious.
Right. And it's, would it surprise an 8-year-old? Sure. Is this an 8-year-old's movie? I still don't think so, because it's too crass for the little kids.
Drew liked it.
Okay. Yeah. We know what that means. But
yeah, it's a bad movie.
We love you, Drew. But the thing is, like, it's like weirdly, it wants to use certain words over and over again to say, oh, this is grown up and edgy, but then it doesn't want to be edgy in any way that could like upset.
It's almost caught in that limbo.
Yeah.
Between PG-13 and R.
Right. So,
and it doesn't do enough to get an R rating, but it doesn't do less to get like a straight PG rating as well.
Right.
So it has to be, but I don't think they dropped an F-bomb once in this film.
They don't.
Which normally gets that PG-13 rating.
Yes. And so I think this would have been better as an R or as a PG.
Right.
Like if the joke is, hey, the games are really goofy and silly, we're going to go really goofy and silly with it, and you go for PG, then fine.
Yeah.
If it's R, then you go over the top with the violence and all of those things, and that's more of what Borderlands is about. So that makes more sense. They wanted to go for that middle ground, but the problem is the middle ground works for Spider-Man. The middle ground works for, for Captain America. Mm-hmm. It works for Guardians of the Galaxy because they're strong written characters.
Yeah.
But if you're not going to have strong characters, you don't have anything to fall back on unless you are either going to make it fun enough for the 8-year-old and their parents will let them watch it, or you make it fun for the immature 22-year-old who wants to see all the violence and gore and blood.
Right.
and I'm not knocking those 22-year-olds. I am one of them,
me
even
too.
though I'm 28. But the point is, they're not picking a lane. And not picking a lane is the worst thing you can do.
So the lack of direction and the decisiveness is eventually what kind of kills this movie.
Yeah. I totally agree. But then again, if you're an adult and you just want to turn your brain off for 2 hours, I guess it's fine for that. But then you get to the end and you're like, did I really sit through all this for that?
Yeah. Well, luckily it's not very long. Like it's an hour and 35-minute film.
Right. Yeah.
So that's another saving grace.
But boy, once we get to that final battle, it's a slog.
Yeah.
That's the worst part of the movie. If this movie was in the Olympics of movies, right? It would be one of those ones that does a perfectly competent triple somersault into a faceplant.
It doesn't stick the landing.
It does not stick the landing at all.
And even that whole thing when they're inside the vault with Edgar Ramirez, who's Atlas, and just...
Is he in anything else? Do you know?
Edgar Ramirez? Yeah, he's been in a bunch of things. Nothing good that I can remember. Like, the main thing that stands out for me is he was in the remake of Point Break that I absolutely hated.
Oh, yeah.
The direction that thing went in was just silly and awful.
He was in a movie called The Girl on the Train, which I never saw.
Which the other star from Girl on the Train that was in this, too, it was... Kate Blanchett's mom. The holographic image. She's in Girl on a Train too.
Haley Bennett. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. She's in that too. Girl on the Train is definitely a female film, and it's depressing. So that's why my wife loved it.
Yeah. This guy, he was in Jungle Cruise as Aguirre. I don't
even remember him from Jungle Cruise.
I don't remember anything from Jungle Cruise. It's Jungle Cruise.
Not a horrible film, though.
No, but it's forgettable.
It is. That's probably why I forgot that he was in it.
Yeah. For a movie that's as expensive as that movie was, it's really forgettable. Oh, he was in Bright. Okay, yeah, this guy, hack. I'm kidding.
Wait, what was the last?
Bright. Do you remember Bright?
Bright?
That one. So you mentioned Joel Edgerton yesterday.
Yeah.
He was the orc lead in Bright with Will Smith. It's the one where it's
for Netflix. Yeah, yes. I didn't see that.
Yeah, I did.
So
you can send your condolences to us at Grand Review Pod.
Or just like the last fiasco that Charlize Theron did for Netflix. That's the New Army.
The New Army?
Or was...
Oh, the Old Guard.
Old Guard.
The Old Guard.
I was close.
Yeah. You were in the right vicinity of those words.
Yeah, and then
I'll give you that.
they're making a sequel to that too, which is even more.
Yeah, we talked about it. It's apparently a very important movie.
Yeah, no.
Anyway, yeah, I thought Edgar Ramirez was. I mean, he wasn't given much to do with, but also what he did with it was not good.
Right. Like it was a one-dimensional character that really didn't even need to be on screen.
Yeah, no, he never needed to show
all
up.
it had to be was mentioned from Tiny Tina's character, and that's all we needed.
Just a voice.
Yeah.
Even he never shows up in public. He's impersonal, whatever. And they have to have him show up in person because he needs to get eaten by the squid monster at the end. But who cares?
By that point, yeah, you're right. Like, okay, yeah, he's dead. Okay.
Yeah, the movie then just cuts away and goes, fireworks, I guess we're done.
Yeah.
Like it's such a non-ending and
so it's trying to be like Return of the Jedi when the independence from the Empire is done and it's not done well.
There weren't even any Ewoks.
No, there's nothing friendly on that planet either. Not
it's
a
awful.
one.
They go, oh, do you hear what that sounds like? It sounds like peace. No, it doesn't. It sounds like explosions in the sky. It's fireworks, you moron.
Well, wasn't the whole prophecy, too, is that the planet was supposed to right itself after the vault and everything was done, too?
Something
and guess
like that.
What? Nothing changed.
I think the wording was that the Firehawk would return to Pandora and would bring order back to the planet. I think that's what they said. So maybe them knowing that the Firehawk is there has brought all the crazies in line, and they're like, "Oh, we're scared because Kate Blanchett will catch us on fire." I mean, fireworks are normally done during peacetime, but they're also done to distract you from like a bank robbery going on somewhere. So,
or just bad filmmaking.
Or bad filmmaking. It worked. I got distracted. I was thinking of a different example. Yeah, halfway through it, they say that if Tiny Tina, because they still believe she's the daughter of Illyria, Illyria. What was the name? Whatever. The daughter of Ellie Smalls. They keep talking about how she might be consumed with the other two keys when she opens the door.
Right.
And all of a sudden, Lilith grows a conscience, and I would like to give it the benefit of the doubt and say, well, that's because she was abandoned and, as far as she's concerned, left for dead as a child. She wouldn't do that to another child. But that is not a connection they ever bring.
No.
It's never brought up like that. It's never like, I know what it's like to have no one in your corner, or I won't abandon you like I was abandoned. And the tension between her and Tanis is just like, boy, it's there. And she pouts a bit, and then from then on, it's not there.
Okay, yeah, we're gonna go along on this happy adventure. La 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 la.
Yeah, it's such a weird. It's like
dichotomy.
How do you forget that you're telling a story? And again, it's a Borderlands movie
because it's Eli Roth.
I did like the psychos and like how deranged they are and stuff.
And they all had faith, but then they go too far with like, well, this is blood clots, which is another subculture of the. I'm like, oh my god. Okay, how many of these things do they have to go through?
So there's a whole lot of lore that they're trying to pay service to by showing it, but
it doesn't
matter, and it's not explained if you're not already a fan of Borderlands.
Right.
So, but also from what I've understood from doing some research, the people who know Borderlands, this takes a whole bunch of liberties with it and is not actually paying service to those things. It's changing all of it.
So why even bother? Why did they have to create a subculture of these people? Just have them more psychos they had to go around to get somewhere.
Why is there a guy specifically credited as playing Crom, who is the big like Darth Vader looking bad guy at the end, but his introduction is just like, I'm big because you have a big guy, now we have a big guy, but I got more helmet, and then he just gets punched in the balls off of a I like, it's just, why burn that character now if you're planning to do more of these? Are you not planning to do more of these? Or are you hoping this is one and done?
Oh,
what was the plan?
I can almost guarantee this is not going to get greenlit for a sequel.
No, absolutely not. So right now, according to Wikipedia, the box office is about $4 million from the Thursday
and it was only
and
projected
Friday.
to be 10.
Yeah.
So this is The sci-fi Horizons.
Yes. Except the Horizons, I have respect for individual scenes, and in this one, I can't get no respect for it.
Okay,
it's no good.
Don't make Lucy Part 2, please.
Being the Ricardos. Oh, goodness.
Never saw that. I always wanted to.
Yeah, I hadn't seen it either. But that's not what we're reviewing, so we'll talk about it later.
No.
Yeah, it's overall... Oh, okay, so Tiny Tina, this was the thing I forgot to bring up earlier. Her blocking is intended to be like she's this hyperactive person and stuff, which is true from the games. But I don't think Eli Roth knew how to do that, because when she comes out on the balcony to tell about how she, her not yes or no question that was totally a yes or no question. What are you talking about, you freaking morons? That whole scene, she's like walking around the pipes and stuff. I'm glad that tickled you. She's walking around and like poking her head out from behind pipes and stuff, but there's no motivation for it. And it just feels stilted and weird because it's not that moment. It's not that moment at all. And it's not, it'd be different if she was trying to like mess with her head, but she's not.
If you're gonna do that, at least like you feed her a bag of M&Ms or something before you go into the scene and just kind of let her bounce around.
Right? Yeah. Like have her like with having a bag of Skittles and bouncing it off the wall and trying to catch it and like ducking between the pipes to catch them or whatever.
That whole pipes thing doesn't make sense.
She's not being cagey, so it doesn't even make like a narrative sense. She's just bleh, exposition dumping. So it's intended to make her seem more fun or more mysterious or something, but all it does is comes off as we don't know what to do with the blocking for this, so just move around in the rehearsal and okay, I'll put a camera there and there.
Yeah, we'll figure it out in editing.
Right, yeah. And it's frustrating how out of place it feels. Even for a character that is hyperactive and all over the place, it feels weirdly like, why are you moving right now?
I guess the same scene too. Like, why would she just be sitting there on like that porch if she's supposed to be like a hyperactive character, just kind of sitting there waiting for Cate Blanchett's character?
Yeah, but give her motivation for the movement, I guess, is really all it is. But yeah, well, and first, why is Cate Blanchett's character out there if she's like, go back inside, it's not safe? Like, well, your face is on wanted posters too, numbnuts. Get back inside. Like, it doesn't make any sense. The whole thing. It just registered to me that you got your dog pool shirt. I love it. It's been staring at me in the face. I keep looking down at it going, I remember that thing from the movie. Sorry. But yeah, there's weird stuff like that. And yeah, the direction was definitely given to walk how they walked. And I'm just like, you gotta remember that things look different in animation than they do in real life.
Right.
Now, it is important that your character, as we learn this as actors, it's important that your character does have a walk. You'll notice, actors who really get into different roles, they walk very differently as each character. And so, I'm not saying this wasn't good character work. I'm saying it feels really weird to watch.
It's haphazard, I think, more than anything.
And it's just like, why is every turn like slightly seductive? And
well, because it's Cate Blanchett.
Oh, I was talking about Kevin Hart.
Oh. No, Cate Blanchett just has that natural, like, where it is seductive.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I think that's actually a good thing about this movie.
That's the best part for you.
Yes. Sorry, Jessica.
You'll pay for that when you get home. I'm not worried about it on the show. Yeah, man. When she turns into the Firehawk at the end, suddenly she can teleport. She uses that power twice and then never again.
But it's anticlimactic too when the Firehawk comes out or whatever it is.
Right, and it's
so what's the point?
And also that's never. The prophecy is that she'll be able to open the vault, but she doesn't open the vault until she can throw him in there. She just becomes a firebird, and it doesn't. There's no establishment for that, except at one point they show a picture that she had drawn of herself with fire wings in crayon, but that's not establishing a prophecy properly. Right. The prophecy they establish is you'll be able to open the vault.
That was kind of the point I was trying to make earlier.
And okay, so to be totally fair, when Tiny Tina tries to open the vault, she goes, "Whatever this is, it'll make me invincible." And so, like, I guess that's like they're telling us what's going to happen. It's foreshadowing. But man, you slap your 5 head, you big dingle dorks. That's dumb. That's not how you do it. Like, gosh, foreshadowing. Sorry, numbers were going on.
Yeah,
but the whole thing is it's like a bait and switch, but not in a fun way and not in a clever way. But
it's theft.
It's
a cinematic theft.
I don't get how that made it past the first draft. I don't get it.
Because it's Eli Roth and Lionsgate.
I keep forgetting.
They don't spend time on stuff like that. Come on.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I don't know. Is there anything else about this that you feel strongly you want to talk about?
I think we've covered all the bases on this.
It's not as bad as everyone says it is, but it is disappointingly middling.
Yeah, it's very mediocre. And that's the best thing I can say about it.
Give us the worst cut. Don't give us a better cut. I want a director's cut that's worse. Right. I want a director's cut that Avi Arad did not come in and make some dumb suggestions on and fix some things. I want a cut that doesn't... Oh, okay. I do have one more thing. Again, not important, but I need to get this off my chest.
Okay.
You have $120 million, yes?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to send you to make a movie with this $120 million. There is a shot that is a close-up on a cone being placed dead center in a circle. It's a dramatic moment where this character is accepting her destiny, and she slams this rock down, this conical rock, in the middle of a circle. Now, that is a important moment, yes?
Yes.
Now, if the actress does a take and it's off to the side of the circle, would you choose to do that again?
No.
You wouldn't? Because when she slams the key down, it's like off center, but then in the next shot, it's dead center.
To show like some kind of depth perception and the scale of things? Okay, yeah, probably I would.
I think it's just that it's an important shot, and so you want that key to slam down right in the middle. Mm-hmm. Like that, just visually, it was distracting to me that it was like off to the side, and they were just like, whatever, it's fine. I told you this doesn't matter. I was not lying, but it does seem weird to me that you can't do a second take and see if she can get it more in the center.
Well, and that goes to what you were saying at the beginning of this thing, that it looked rushed.
Yeah.
So that just adds to that, and it. You know, like what we said, the time frame on this, it was not rushed, so it did not need to be. Yeah. And they did it anyway.
They could have VFX'd the ground over a little bit and zoomed in on the shot. I mean, something. There's a fix for this. There is a fix. And so, yeah, it just seems weird to me that's one of those things that just like on the day, you can see it clear as day on the monitor. There's no way you can't say, that's not center. Try again.
Yeah.
Because like you just call for them to reset before she does the walk forward and the move. So you don't have to reset camera and stuff. You just keep it where it is and go, hold on, reset, do it again, action.
Yeah.
Okay, that's closer to center. We can keep rolling on this take and you keep doing it. Why not?
Right.
I don't know. You have the money. You have the money. You can afford the extra 5 cents worth of data that you're going to run through, waiting for them to just step back one step and try it again. Anyway, the Firehawk thing I think didn't make any sense in the context of what was laid out in front of us in the film, and I think the ending is boring. And also, why does he have to look up at the ship every time he clenches his fist to fire? Why wouldn't he look at the target? Because it's obviously a neural link. What?
Yeah.
It's broken me. I take it back. This is the worst movie I've ever seen.
No, it's not the worst. I've seen worse.
I know, but there is a joke amongst the gaming community that like if there's a cat or a dog in the game and you can walk up to it and there's no button to reach down and pet it, literally unplayable. That's the joke. That's what everyone says. This
never heard that.
Your cone's not in the middle of a circle. Literally unwatchable. That's my review.
Okay.
All right. Well, that's it for that. Do we have any news you want to talk about?
Yeah, we got a little bit. Okay. So it ends with Us that opened Thursday night.
This will never end. We're cursed to do this forever.
I'm talking about the Blake Lively film.
Oh, okay. All right. Phew, I was worried you were leaving me.
No. You're stuck with me until I'm dead.
All right, good. I'm going first, so that's really not that long for
No,
me.
I'll be going first before you will. So anyway, it beat out Deadpool for the Friday night grosses.
Oh, did it really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And it did 24 million opening day, which is very surprising because this film had been pushed around a couple of times for a release date. Like originally it was supposed to come out last fall. And then,
really? So quite a bit.
Right. Valentine's Day this year. And then they moved it again. And then it was supposed to be June again. And then they moved it to August. And I was afraid to like even advertise or push the film because I'm like, as soon as I do, they're going to change the release date again.
Right. Yep.
So I'm going to hold off until, okay, if I look at IMDb this week, if it still has the same release date, okay, we're good.
Right.
But yeah, big $24 million opening.
No, $24 is what Borderlands made. Sorry, that's easy mistake to make.
And I did see it Thursday night, and so I will save that for another podcast.
Yeah.
We do have an idea for that.
Yep.
Because we're probably gonna get our wives on for that.
Yeah.
So which means Hannah's got to see it. And she'll love it.
She's got to see a movie with me.
Yeah.
Sucker.
So it's great that normally, historically, films that are pushed around with release dates like that don't do well. They're just kind of thrown out there. And
Right, because there's confusion in the marketplace as to, didn't that already come out? I guess I missed it. No one cared.
Gran Turismo was the one that was the victim of that last year.
Yeah. That's the one about they get all the video game kids to come.
Right, that's based on a true, and it's actually a decent film. I really liked it.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
But the problem with that is it was slated for an IMAX release too. And then the problem was Oppenheimer was still bringing in a ton of money in IMAX format that they didn't want to pull that prematurely. They wanted to get every penny they could out of that large screen format. So they forced Sony and Gran Turismo to change the release date, or you're not going to get an IMAX opening. So they said, okay, this film is good enough and we feel strongly about it. We'll change the release date. And then they changed it again, and it kind of flipped back and forth. And then, everybody was like, come September, because I remember that's when I was working here, everybody's like, well, what happened to that movie? And I was like, well, it came out and it's gone.
Yeah.
So, I really wanted to see that. Yeah, everybody else got confused too, and that's why it didn't do well. And it's a shame because, like I said, it's actually a decent film.
It did, I think, made its budget back. So it was budget of 60, box office says 122.2.
Right.
That's $1 million, not dollars.
Yeah. So I'm glad to see this film actually doing well, and Sony's helped us get like this giant standee in our lobby. That's really beautiful, and you take your picture with it. I think it's the first one of these things that Grand Avenue has ever seen.
As far as Sandy's stuff.
Well, one that it has a photo op opportunity.
Oh, it might be. I think. Well, there may have been some kids movies that had like a little put your head through it sort of thing back in the day.
This one actually makes it look like you're standing in front of Lily Bloom's flower shop.
Yeah.
It's actually it was a pain to put together. So appreciate it for what it is.
Appreciate
Do not wreck it.
I had some standees I took home with me once, and from Guardians of the Galaxy, because what would happen is if you were the first one to write your name on the back of one, you could take it home after like it was due to be pulled off the floor. And I took one home from Best Buy when I worked there, and it was the Guardians of the Galaxy, and someone walked in the house and just went because they weren't expecting it to be there. So that was really funny. It Ends With Us has made back its budget already. It was a budget of $25 million, 24 in a single day.
So
that's not bad.
You're going to see a sequel.
Yeah.
Because Colleen Hoover, I know the books that there is a sequel to this book, and then she's got countless others. So this is probably going to open the floodgates on all those.
Colleen Hoover's had a couple of things adapted into films, hasn't she?
No, I think this is the first one.
Oh, is it really? Okay.
Right. And that's why I was really adamant about getting it booked here. Because I know she has such a rabid fan base, and I got threatened by my wife that if you don't play this film, you're in trouble. So,
okay, so from all the conversations we've had on air, then what I'm gathering is that you have absolute integrity about doing what is best for the theater,
right?
until your wife says, if you don't do it, I'll kill you.
Yeah.
That seems fair. I think that's a completely appropriate way to do things.
And I know there's a following behind
No,
me,
I know.
so
I'm
booking
joking.
that was kind of a no-brainer.
Yeah, for sure.
So next thing, Frozen 3 gets its first look. So I guess there's stills and stuff leaking out of the Disney camp about this.
Leaking out of Disney. Because the monkey the blind monkey jumping on the trampoline has hit his head and is starting to leak brain fluid.
But it's coming in 2027. So I'm booking my vacation now for when that comes out.
I'll have to go see it with like just a bunch of children and go, what did you guys think? And they'll all scream into one microphone. And I'll just go, yeah, it's a podcast, I guess, whatever.
And then
it's probably more intelligent than what I normally do here, if we're honest.
No, I wouldn't tell yourself that short.
Because I'm slightly taller than a 6-year-old.
Maybe a little bit shorter, but
yeah.
So Mandalorian Grogu, Jon Favreau teases first Star Wars movie in more than 5 years.
Yeah.
So
I don't know how I feel
inevitable.
About that. I look the Mandalorian series. I liked the first season, and it very much felt like Star Wars lone cowboy kind of stuff, and I liked that. And then as it started to tie more into the rest of the Disney Star Wars universe, it was like, but I hate all these other things. Don't connect this with that. Okay, whatever. Anyway, I don't care.
Yeah.
And so I kind of fell off of it at a certain point. But I mean, I probably will see this. I hope that all of my feelings about Star Wars under Disney's watch are wrong, and that they can make one more good thing.
I still hope Lucas comes through with that offer to get it away from Disney. I always have. That's the one thing I hope for right now.
I don't think he ever will. I mean, he walked away with $4 billion, and he tried to be involved still, and he basically just said they don't want me. They don't want my ideas. So you know what? I can't do anything about that. It's not a very good George Lucas, but it is different from my voice, so I'm calling it a win.
But then he was involved with Red Tails, the movie about the Tuskegee Air, which is a really good movie.
Red Tails was, I remember really liking that when it came out.
Yeah, that was Lucasfilm's production.
What was that one that had? I think it was called Flyboys. That had
James Franco. Lucasfilms was not.
It wasn't. No, but it reminded me that I liked
that's
that one
World War I.
Yes,
with biplanes. That's actually a pretty good film too.
I really love biplane stuff.
Yeah,
there's a game on the VR, the Oculus Quest that I got that lets you play as like a World War I pilot. And when you drop bombs, there's a stack of them next to your seat that you physically reach down and pick up and drop on your targets. It's so much fun.
I would love to play the game with Snoopy and the Red Baron. That's where my intellectual level is on that kind of stuff.
Well, I mean, to be fair, we want to talk about intellectual level. The first night I played that game, I was home alone, and I remember flying my little biplane, dropping a bomb, and then going and killing someone. And I literally out loud to myself went, "Woo!" like I was actually flying a plane. So I'm very easily tricked into having fun, which is why Borderlands is actually a disappointment. Sorry.
So
total tangent.
No worries. And Furiosa, which is one of the films we really liked this summer that bombed really badly.
Yeah.
And we couldn't understand why, is actually going to be coming on Max on August 16th.
Yeah. What I would say, does that mean it'll get same day like Blu-ray and
No,
really?
I think the home video release of that is actually after that. Not entirely sure, but that's what I'm guessing because that whole market and everything anymore is really confusing to keep track of.
Yeah, because it used to be if it's going out on it'll come out on streaming after you can get it physically. You can buy it, and then it'll come out on streaming maybe a year later.
Right.
Which made sense because it's bundled in with a whole bunch of other stuff, and they want more sales up front. That made sense to me. I'm like, okay, great. I'll go buy the movie if I really care that much.
Now the whole pattern for that just seems to be very broken.
Yes,
and doesn't make any sense.
And it's Warner Brothers' fault.
Yeah,
it's all
they
freaking Warner
this.
Brothers' fault.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, I'm going to go ahead and say don't watch it on Max because you won't be able to hear anything. Wait, I'm kind of joking, but I'm kind of serious at the same time. Wait for it to come out and get it in a format where you can get special features with it too.
If you're a Mad Max person like I am too, like I'm definitely I won't buy the home video just because I don't anymore. Mm-hmm. I'd rather just buy it off of Apple and just watch it on my television. But those things have special features too, which is really cool.
Exactly. Yeah. Somewhere where you can get it there and the sound mix is not turned down to a level that would make a mouse farting sound loud. Because Max is so bad about that.
I think it was probably one of the most underrated films of this summer too. Like,
I think so too.
So enjoyed that.
I thought it was great. I loved Chris Hemsworth in that film. And I'm excited. Like, I wanted to get the Furiosa Black and Chrome edition when that's done, and then also the Mad Max Black and Chrome edition, and watch those back to back. That would be so
Once
fun.
Again,
we should do it in the theater, shouldn't
we?
Yes, we should. Yes, absolutely. Oh my gosh, did we just become best friends? I'm kidding. That was like 15 weeks ago.
So the other thing I didn't have on my list, but I remember seeing this morning too. There is a release date now for the next Avatar film. And I want to say
Fire
it's called
and Ash.
Okay, I thought it was Fire and Ice, but I know that's not right.
No, you're thinking of the KY jelly. This is called Fire and Ash.
No, there's an adult animated film from the 80s called Fire and Ice that Ralph Bakshi did.
Now, when you say adult animated film, you're talking about just one that's not made for kids, or are you talking about one for adults?
No, one that's just not made for kids.
Okay. Is that the same one that he did The Hobbit, right? Or
Ralph Bakshi did The Hobbit and actually a lot of good animated films that I like, but were very adult.
Did he do that one about dragons? There's one about dragons I remember seeing that was very much like Bakshi style. Oh gosh, I need to find out.
So Fritz the Cat was where he got his start, and then did The Hobbit. Fritz the Cat is adult. Because it was X-rated when it came out. And then American Pop, which I love to this day. I think that film is fantastic. And it's generally about the history of popular music and a family generally of losers that is involved in music and over the years and how that bloodline evolves to finally somebody that actually makes it in the music industry. And it's generally a history of like popular music, and it's a really good movie.
Yeah.
And then the one, I love this film, but I don't recommend it to people because it's just so far out there, is Cool World. Like, I love that film.
Cool World. Okay.
Brad Pitt, Kim Basinger. It's the Who Framed Roger Rabbit on acid.
Right. Okay. I knew I'd heard this name before.
That.
Okay. This was Bakshi?
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. That makes me interested in seeing that. I had always avoided it because it just looked like a bad Who Framed Roger Rabbit sort of like spin-off thing.
No, it's actually completely different.
Okay.
The story to it's a little thin. The animation's cool. The soundtrack to it's really good.
Yeah.
And I know they just put it on vinyl recently.
Oh, did they? Cool.
Yeah, because it's got like David Bowie and The Cult and Ministry, like some of my favorite artists. And My Life with the Thrill Kill Cult.
Okay, yeah. I definitely want to go through Ralph Bakshi's stuff because I have such fond memories of those Lord of the Rings animated films. I mean, I still, to this day, when I am on set and I'm working with Lucas, who's been working with me for a long time.
Yeah, he did Lord of the Rings.
Yes, yeah.
The anime, but that's...
So there's a song that they sing when they've kidnapped some of the hobbits, and they go, "Where there's a whip, there's a way." And I sing that when I want Lucas to go faster. And yeah, those so underrated, and I loved those very dearly as a kid. They were kind of scary. They were
they were dark.
Yeah,
and that's his style of filmmaking is stuff that's not. It was not for kids.
Yeah, but it still was, I think, handled in a way, Lord of the Rings especially, where it was handled in a way where it was like, this is something that a kid can watch. They will be probably scared by some of the imagery,
right?
But it's not over the top gory. It's not attempting to.
It's not gratuitous.
It's not gratuitous. It's not bastardizing the source material. That's not a curse word. It just means to ruin or something or to make fun of it. And so like not doing that, having respect for the source material while also being true to his style, that's a skill to balance that. Something Eli Roth could probably learn.
And then I think he did Heavy Metal too.
Heavy Metal. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's my early teen years, and I still like that film.
Man, yeah, no, I need to go through his catalog. That's for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
I know he sells a lot of his art cells on eBay and stuff now too.
Oh, really?
Which is kind of sad. I mean, he wants a lot of money for it. It's unfortunately something I can't afford because I would love to have like a cell from something that he's done in my office.
Yeah.
But I can't do it.
I have a single cell of, my brother got it for me for Christmas, of a print of R2D2 from A New Hope, like in one of the runs that they did on film.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's from the original. It's probably not. Like, I don't think my brother would spend that much money on me because I'm a turd. But yeah, having little film cells from runs and stuff, and it's sad. Like, you can't get those for things now because they just.
I think I still
digitally.
have like a couple of trailers, like full 35 millimeter trailers. Yeah.
Oh man,
I got to dig those out.
We should get our hands on a projector and see if we can just like jerry rig something together. And
Right.
Are there still ways you can purchase film prints of like actual movies?
There is. Generally, it's if you're doing like a private rental or something, you can go to the studio, and generally you're getting a vault print, which you better handle that thing with gloves. And I'm not kidding. Because I know we had one that we had to do when I worked for Showbiz Cinemas in Orange. And we had to run Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. And there was not a print to distribute anymore. So they gave us the vault print. And that... I was warned profusely before I got it that no one touches that film except you. You put it together, you break it down, and if it comes back with a scratch on it, you're going to get a huge bill.
Whoa.
So Warner Brothers made it very clear about how we had to handle the film.
What year was this?
Oh, 2008, 2009?
At that point, they still couldn't just whip out another print?
No. They couldn't.
Why not?
I don't know.
That fascinates me. Because 2008,
told.
2009, you could still go down to HEB and get your 35 millimeter
well,
film
and
rolls
that's
developed.
When that theater was actually still doing 35 millimeter prints at the time too.
Yeah.
So that's how we were able to do it. And then we had a special screening, and I think it was to promote one. I can't remember which one it was now. Probably Half-Blood Prince or Order of the Phoenix, if I had to guess.
I don't know. Half-Blood Prince was 2009. So
okay, so it's probably that. Yeah, luckily I got a very nice thank you note from Warner Brothers when I returned it, saying that it's in just as good a condition as when we gave it to you.
Nice.
We really appreciate that.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, because I was the only one that touched it.
Yeah. And also, you guys are scary.
I wasn't
and the worst streaming service.
I wasn't scared. I just knew that I had to like really be careful.
Right. Yeah.
With everything that I did. Yeah. But anyway, getting back to Avatar. So the release date of that is December of next year.
What?
Oh,
that's right. Because they filmed 2 of them back to back.
Right.
Right. Okay.
So
that makes sense.
now we're going to see the Fire People. Which the title says it all. So
yeah. Do you think they're going to be in need of lotion?
Is it going to be like Elemental with the?
Yeah, maybe so. I was just thinking, like, if they're ashy, we should get them some lotion. I have like really ashy elbows sometimes, so I have to just like sit there and rub it. Don't tell my wife.
Well,
I don't want her to know I use lotion.
For my diabetes, my feet get really dry, so
Yeah.
I have to put lotion on.
That sucks.
On that, yeah.
Man, that diabetes ain't fair. I tell you what,
No,
it's not fair.
We were talking about this off mic when we started about how I said how God has a sense of humor because we take a fat man, me, and now you're not going to be able to eat sugar or chocolate ever again. Thank you.
But then at the same time, is that protection from eating too much sugar and chocolate? I don't know.
Yes, it is.
I guess, but it still seems not fair
But
because I love chocolate.
Thank God for chocolatiers now that come out with like sugar-free stuff. Just can't eat a lot of it because sugar alcohol content will do horrible things.
Sugar alcohol content.
Yeah, there's sugar alcohol in most like sugar-free candy.
Oh.
And if you Because remember the story about the Haribo sugar-free gummy bears?
Yes.
That's why.
Yes. Okay. Look, I have an idea now. Look, don't hold me to this, but sometime in the next week, if I have time, I'm going to do a dramatic reading of that review because it's one of the most incredible things I've ever read in my life.
Yeah. And then, so yeah, that's about all I have for news. And I know next week we're doing Alien Romulus, which I'm super excited for.
Me too. Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to this.
Yeah.
And then after that, we're probably going to get the wives in here for It Ends With Us.
Yeah, because there's nothing else coming out that weekend.
That week is kind of a dead weekend almost. Like, we're not even finalizing what we're booking right now. I think the only thing that we've agreed upon was The Forge, which is a Sony Christian-based film.
Yeah.
That doesn't look horrible. But the other two, like, I think we're going to have one more spot open, and it's kind of tossing up a coin between The Crow, which I already have a lot of hatred for, or Blink Twice, which is Channing Tatum's new movie that looks just strangely bizarre, that I can't really figure out the plot from the trailer. So
wait, isn't that like right up your alley though? Like something bizarre?
Yeah,
and strange?
It is, but do I really want to book it here where nobody's going to see it?
Good point. Yeah.
And
so
The Crow
business mind versus personal interest.
The Crow has a little bit more, at least, of name recognition. But how I put it to our film buyer, and he just laughed hysterically when I said this, I said, it's kind of picking out the dog with the least amount of fleas.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's fair.
So, and then after that is Beetlejuice. Well, no, end of August is Reagan, that we are confirmed for.
Okay.
And after this, Beetlejuice.
I will watch the first one before we get to the second one.
Unfortunately, it's on Max. Because Drew and I watched it last night.
Come on, man.
I know.
Why is it always Max?
Well, because it's Warner Brothers.
Frickin' stop it, guys. Just someone on the other end, all they have to do is go, the master volume knob here at our end, we're just going to turn that up by about 6-10 decibels.
Yeah.
That's all it needs. That's all it needs for it to be acceptable. Right now, I had headphones on watching Mad Max, a loud movie, and had to turn my headphones up almost all of the way to hear the dialogue. That's unbelievable.
Meanwhile, there's not a whole lot of dialogue in that film to begin with.
I know, which is why I was so mad when I missed it the 3 times it happened. But all right, well, yeah, I guess we'll see next week. Alien Romulus, and I think there'll be a lot to talk about in that, and I definitely
well, because I do really like that series too. Most of it. There's 3 is a waste of time. And 4 is an even bigger waste of time.
Yeah, but 1 and 2, I mean,
classics.
I used to not get it, and then I finally watched it maybe 5 or 6 years ago now.
Alien is,
I get it. Yeah.
Everybody can say what they want about like Jaws being dated and the shark looking fake and blah blah blah, but it's still a classic in my eyes.
Yeah, yeah.
And the same thing with Alien.
Mm-hmm.
Alien spawned so many like imitator bad sci-fi horror films, but Alien is still like the film, and to me, it doesn't seem as dated as when it was made.
Interesting. Yeah, that's what I was going to say is like it feels like a shot on film modern movie if you can kind of ignore like just the little bits of like, kind of some of the sets look a little bit like, okay, I can see what they were doing with it, like using everyday items and stuff. But like generally speaking, yeah, it feels like a modern slow burn movie.
Right. And that's the film that put Ridley Scott on the map.
And well deserved.
Rightly deserved. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Alien's good.
Yep.
Alien Covenant's fun too. I don't care what anyone says.
No, right. I like that film too. I'm with you on that one. I will support you.
Well, I hope you're with me on this, Andy. I want to say thank you to everyone for listening.
Yes, thank you. We appreciate y'all. We very much so.
We really, really do. The fact that anyone would sit down and listen to all of this yammering is astonishing and just much love to you.
Outside of theater staff and our relatives.
Yeah. Well, no, my relatives don't listen to this. My brother will hit the button to have it download and go, I gave you the number, and then he'll But yeah, seriously, thank you for listening. We hope that
Thank you.
we hope that you enjoy listening as much as we
Yes.
enjoy doing this. And
Comments.
yeah, leave comments. Let us know
Yeah.
what you think of these movies on our Facebook and our Instagram at Grand
Yes.
Review Pod. And yeah, we'd love to hear what you think. If
Yeah.
you see a movie like a Thursday, Friday night, and you want to let us know what we think before we record, then please, we would love to hear all of your thoughts. And
Yeah.
the more of those we can get, the more we can kind of share maybe some alternate views that we may not have. So
And once again, thank you folks for listening. And that's our
that's
cue.
it. All right. Thanks for listening. We will see you at the movies.
Take care, y'all.
Bye-bye.